Today's lesson, we're going to talk about algebraic expressions. Essential question, how can you simplify an algebraic expression? And your first question on the left-hand margin is, how do I combine like terms? Okay, so what does combining like terms mean? Well, first, we're only going to combine numbers that have the same variable, so the same letter, at the end of it, so attached, or no variable at all. So any terms that are like terms, so each of these are terms, and if they are like terms, then we are going to combine them. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that we are either going to add or subtract them. So here's an example. 15a plus 6c plus 2a. I'm going to start off by underlining my first term, 15a. I'm going to look for any other term that has the same variable. So that has a variable a at the end of it. And I'm going to underline that as well. So 6c, no. 2a, yes. So 15a and 2a. I'm going to underline both of these. Now, I'm going to go ahead and combine these. This is a positive number. And 2a right here, you see, has a positive in front. So these are both positive numbers. So I have 15 positives, and then I add on 2 more positives. Total, I have 17 positives, and we cannot forget the variable. So 15a plus 2a gives me 17a. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch this one off and scratch this one out. All right, we're going to eliminate these. These two are done. The only thing that I have left is 6c. Well, there's no other thing that has the same variable, no other term that has the same variable, so we're just going to add it on. And this is a positive, so we're going to put a plus here. So your final answer is 17a plus 6c. Now, this gets confusing for some of us at the beginning because it's your first time, right, combining like terms like this. And I have a lot of students that try to add these two. They try to do 17 plus 6. Remember, you cannot add them because they have different variables at the end. They are not like terms. So let's not forget about that. Again, you cannot add those because they are not like terms. Okay, so now let's go over this next one right here. Here's my example. 10 plus 5 plus 3a plus negative 7a. What does that equal? Well, I already started and I'm showing you all. I'm going to start off with my first term, 10. Okay, 10 here does not have any variables attached to it. So I'm going to look for everything else that does not have a variable. This positive 5 doesn't, so I'm going to underline that as well. This does, so I'm not going to underline it. This does, so I'm not going to underline it. I'm going to start by combining these two, my first like terms. All right, well, 10 plus 5 gives me 15. And now that I've combined these, I'm going to go ahead and forget about them. I'm going to cross them out. All right, let's go ahead and look at some more. I have a positive 3a. I can't forget about that sign there. Now I'm going to combine anything else that has the same variable. And there's one right here, negative 7a. Again, I know these both have an a at the end. And there are actually different signs, right? This is a positive and this is a negative. So remember, when you are adding or subtracting, it's same signs add, different signs subtract. Now, if you can't remember that rule, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to. Just express this by drawing. Let's draw this out. This is 3 positives. So 1, 2, 3. Meanwhile, over here, I have 7 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, a positive and a negative cancel each other out. So these cancel, these cancel, and these cancel. Look what I'm left with. I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. And this had a variable a at the end. So this is a negative 4a. Now, when you're writing this out as your final answer, there's a couple different ways you can express it. So I'm going to put the 15 first. 15. Now you can put plus a negative 4a, or you can simply write it how we have it here as 15 minus 4a. I personally would prefer this because I don't like having this plus here is unnecessary. You could also switch the terms where I could put my negative 4a first. So I could put negative 4a and then the positive 15, the plus 15. It doesn't matter how you express it as long as each term has the correct sign, meaning that this 15 stays positive, like it did in all of these three examples, and this negative 4a stays negative. Like here it's negative, here it's negative, and here it's negative. And now that I combine these two, I can also cross them out. And you can see I'm done with combining like terms here. So I'm just going to check my final answer to make sure I didn't forget to combine any like terms. 15 doesn't have any variables. This does. This has a variable. This doesn't. So I am done. This is my simplified expression. Okay, so now let's go ahead and practice these with two more problems. And we're going to go ahead and take this slow and underline each term to make sure that we do not miss any. So let's start with this right here. Okay, this 8 does not have any variables. So let's go and underline everything that does not have a variable. Okay, this does, and this does. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means I can't combine it with anything because it doesn't have any like terms. So it's just going to be part of your answer. I'm going to go ahead and remember, cross this out so that I know that I am done with it. Next, this 12x, more specifically a negative 12x. Remember, we need to have the sign in front of it. I need to know if this is a positive or a negative. Okay, negative 12x. I'm going to look for any other term that has an x at the end. This doesn't, this doesn't. So again, it's by itself. So 8 minus 12x. And I'm going to cross this out. I'm going to move on to my next one. All right, to y, I'm going to look for anything else that has a y. This does. This is a positive. This is a positive. So if I have 2 positives and I add 6 more, it's going to give me 8 positives, and I cannot forget the y. Okay, so all my like terms here are done. Double check these. There's no like terms. This has an x. This has a y. This has no variable. So I cannot simplify this anymore, meaning that is my answer. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same thing with the second one, starting with 18. I think it might be helpful to some of you to underline it or box it so I can look at each term individually. So this does not have a variable. Let's look for anything else. This has a variable. This does. This does. So I'm not going to be able to combine that with anything. It's just going to get moved to my answer. All right, let's go to the next one, positive 21f. All right, this doesn't have an f, this doesn't have an f. So my positive 21f gets switched over here. Next, positive 4e. Well, this doesn't have an e, so. And I can't forget that negative 3g. It's the last one, so it's just going to tag on. So in this expression, we had no like terms, right? This expression was already simplified. Look, I just copied down the exact same thing. We couldn't do anything to this. It was already right in simplest form. There's a simplified expression. Okay, so remember when we are combining like terms, go through each term individually and see if you can combine it with anything. Go step by step. As we are getting used to this, I say go slow. Then as you are getting more practice with it, we can go ahead and you'll get a lot better, and you might not have to underline each individual term. That's it for this lesson. Let me know if you have any questions on any of the problems that we went over. And call me if you need any help.